Okay. All righty. At this time, we're going to open the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting for Tuesday, November the 18th. And at this time, if you would please join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I'm going to assume, however, that we are Freedom of Information Act compliant. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, we are.
Thank you. Okay. So at this time, I'm going to ask Karen if she would call the roll.
Certainly. And just to let all the commissioners know that Ms. Christian has an excused absence and she will not be attending the meeting. Okay, Mr. Daly?
Here.
Mr. Dowling?
Can't hear you, Tom.
It's on. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yep, here.
Mr. Okarma?
Here.
Mr. Zarilla?
Here.
Mr. Manasotis?
Here.
And Mr. Kasaya?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So our first order is we're going to swear Mike in as our newest commissioner, and I believe that's Diane is going to do that. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Butch. I'm sorry I'm laying down here.
You're doing good.
Look.
Oh my gosh, Mike.
Oh, that was Monday. I'm okay. It's already
You got to
Thursday.
stay out of those bars, man.
Getting old is what it is. I'm ready.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Diane Bush, staff attorney for the town of Hilton Head Island. Mr. Manasotis.
Ma'am.
Sir, if you would raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear? Or I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. My apologies. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I'm duly qualified according to the Constitution of this state
that I am duly qualified according to the Constitution of the state
to exercise the duties of the office to which I have been appointed,
to exercise the duties of the office of which I've been appointed,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve, protect, and defend
and preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of this state and of the United States.
the Constitution of this state and the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
May lower your hand. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. I feel like I was joining the Army again. That was it's been 40 years.
All right. Michael, welcome. We're glad to have you. I'm sorry you're laid up there, but hopefully that will pass.
Temporary.
Temporary thing. I understand. So for the rest of the commission members, Mike served on the task force for our plan for the recreation section, and we are fortunate to have him with us. Mike, you got anything you want to say before we get started?
Oh, no, I've been looking forward to this for quite a few years. I've sat on the county board for the last 21 years. And the county has very little to do on Hilton Head, and this committee has much more to do on Hilton Head. So that's what I'm interested in doing.
Okay. All right. Well, Mike, we're glad to have you. All right. So our next item on the agenda is appearance by citizens. I don't believe we had anybody sign up. Is that correct, Karen?
Sir, no one signed up to speak in person. We did have 3 comments that came into the Open Town Hall portal, which you've all been given a copy of via email.
Okay. All right. At that time.
Don't forget, Butch, the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Thanks, Jerry. Okay, so at this time, we're gonna need to approve the minutes of the August 19, August 24, and September 9th meetings. I guess as a point of clarification, do we need to vote on each of these separately, or can we do them all at the same time?
Sir, you can do them all at the same time.
Hearing no objection from the commission, we're going to do them all at the same time. So at this time, I would ask Karen to call the roll, and for Mike's edification, when we're doing these by Zoom, we call the roll and you vote as the roll is called. So Karen, please call the roll. We are voting to approve. Well, excuse me, I'm jumping ahead. I need a motion to approve the minutes of those 3 dates.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, now Karen, if you would please call the roll and we'll vote to
Certainly.
approve the 3 minutes.
Mr. Daly,
I approve.
Mr. Dowling,
Approved.
Mr. Okarma,
Approve.
Mr. Zarilla,
I approve.
Mr. Kasaya,
Approve.
and Mr. Manasotis was not.
Yeah, I'll abstain from this, please.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, now let me jump where we're supposed to be. I believe our next item are some reports, and the first would be the Island Recreation Association update. And Frank Sewell, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Hey,
All
Frank.
right, I'm here. I'd like to first of all welcome Mr. Manasotis to the Parks and Recreation Commission. I look forward to working with him. I know with all his years at the county that he's going to have valuable insight to the commission, and being part of that, seeing what's going on in the county and knowing what's happening on here. I think that Mike's going to really like the fact that all the things that we're trying to do here and improve here, especially with all the stuff going on, that should be really great, especially having his insight for all those years of working with the county. So welcome aboard.
Thanks, Frank.
I went back and checked my notes. It's been a while since we've had the opportunity to meet and speak a little bit, so I probably will be a little longer than usual. First of all, I'm going to start with the youth and teen programs. We've been averaging anywhere from 80 to 100 kids a day in our after-school program, which is about where we were pre-COVID. It's working out really well, especially having the new facility here and some other things that we've been doing. But one unique thing that's really happened, we're finding that parents are looking for more than just the after-school program. We had a kids' night out a couple of weeks ago. We had over 40 kids there. We were traditionally down in the 10 or 15 numbers, but having 40 was a great turnout. And that's a compliment to our staff, especially our youth staff, to have the parents really looking for something to do and being able to promote that and moving that forward. Fitness programs, our memberships are maintaining. We're getting new members every day, and some people are dropping off like any health club situation, but we're excited by the fact that our classes are really full. And actually, we've had to move some of those classes from the upstairs fitness room down to the gym so they can have more space and room to work out, which is that's a good problem to have. That's the way I look at it, moving people around, and especially being in the gym and stuff like that. The senior center, actually, we've had a makeover down there. The Hilton Rotary Club of Hilton Head Island helped us paint the center. We've been able to get some new furniture, did some deep cleaning on some of the floors and other things. And so we've had an upgrade or makeover, whatever you want to call it. It's worked out really well. And our numbers seem to be increasing a little bit. It was reported at a program meeting from our director down there that we've gone from 2 tables to 4 tables in some of the board games and other things that we're doing. And she's having some success with going out and doing some short day trips and some other things, which is really exciting as we move forward and we're seeing the numbers increase. Talk about the pool a little bit. Really, we decided again not to put up the dome this year. When we had to make that decision, obviously the COVID numbers were rising and some other things going on in the community. We felt it would probably be best not to put the dome up again this year. Going back to, we didn't put it up we had it up 2 years ago when COVID all started, is that we were lucky because we took it down just in time before everything shut down. And we didn't want to get in that same situation where we had to leave the dome up and things being shut down. And going back to employment too, we found that, we hire workforce people to come and temporary labor, and we were a little bit concerned that we weren't going to be able to get enough temporary laborers here to help install the dome. So we were at two issues, twofold. So we've actually not done that for another year. Now we've since had the company that installed the dome that helped us install and take down, come out and check the blowers and do some maintenance. So we're all prepared to go next year. And talking with them, I found out that, other communities are kind of doing the same thing we are and just holding off for one more year. We talked to all our participants in front of it, and they were all ready to swim one more year without the dome being up. So having said all that, I did talk a little bit about staffing, and across the board, we are struggling a little bit in finding lifeguards. I wish I could say we're unique in that struggle, but it's a national problem. We're doing some new things, looking at pay, looking at benefits, especially for the part-timers, and then also providing free training. So hopefully that will pan out. We've started to reach out to USCB and some other areas to see if we can't find some students and other people willing to be trained and come and work for us. We're able to maintain our hours. It's just with the dome not being up and some other things, we probably won't be able to provide the swim lessons like we traditionally do in the winter months. But we were full this summer, so we anticipate that happening again. That's going on. We're wrapping up our fall youth sports season. Soccer is going to wrap up here in a couple of weeks, next week. Playoffs are going on now. We've wrapped up some of the other programs that we've done, getting in the middle of registration for basketball, flag football, and roller hockey. Just some of the programs that we'll be offering what we call the winter season. We've had some success with box lacrosse. Once again, we have over 20 kids playing in box lacrosse, so that's pretty good. And I know that the adult soccer program is wrapping up too, but we're always full of teams, and we'll be moving what we call futsal and working down at the hockey rink. Between hockey and futsal and box lacrosse, so the rink will be pretty busy down at Bristol. One thing I want to point out, and I talked about it a couple of times, we actually got off with our e-gaming program. It was fairly successful, and we're looking forward to a second season beginning in January. And I think as we move forward, that's going to be really good. Really, the People for Parks end of things, we actually received a significant donation from the fish camp as they celebrated their anniversary. All the proceeds come to People for Parks, and those funds are used to maintain the equipment that we have in the fitness center, and helps us do a few other things on the capital end of things. And so with that money, we look forward to adding new pieces, replacing some pieces that we need in the gym through People for Parks. So that's pretty exciting. Last weekend, we're finally in the big event business. Last weekend, we had our Oyster Festival down at Low Country Celebration Park, first time there. We project that we'll probably have between 3,500 and 4,000 people that came throughout the day, which is really, really neat. I think that a large event, a lot of people like the new location. Some of our people that have been to our events before really like the new location. I'm very excited about that. Had a couple travel from year 4. They always travel from Augusta. Been to the other ones at the other park. Coming down to this park was they really liked it a lot better. And then we had one comment come to our staff members. group that had traveled. They travel all over for oyster festivals, and they marked the Hilton Head one as the best oyster festival they've been to in all their travels. So we feel pretty good about that. USCB does some surveying for us, and that one time they were telling us that over 50% of the people, because we get accommodations tax dollars to promote the program, over 50% of the people had come from out of state. So that's pretty exciting. And but the park's beautiful. You know, got a few little kinks on our end because the first time down there operating it. But if you came to the event, you would never know that those kinks were part of the program. Finally, Turkey Trot, the annual Thanksgiving Day race. Last year we had 500. This year we've moved it up to 1,500. We've been working with Hilton Head Plantation for many, many years. We sold out on that yesterday. So the race is sold out and we're moving forward, and looks like it's going to be pretty exciting. Finally, I don't know if Taylor's going to mention that. I don't know if we mentioned in the last thing, but Taylor is now the liaison with the Island Rec Association, and she is going to be participating in board meetings, and she also participated in our planning session that was back in August. And so we're excited to have Taylor here. I think it's been in the last couple of meetings she's been to. It's really good for our board members to hear what's going on at the town and other things, especially with the master planning going on. And we're excited about having her on board. Finally, in some housekeeping issues, we have had some title changes out here. I am now the Executive Director of Parks and Recreation on Hilton Head. We promoted Leah Arnold to be my deputy, and we also promoted Bob Rozak and Fred Laurie to be superintendents of recreation and operations. The board felt as we move forward with the master planning process, knowing that we're going to have more roles in providing programming and doing additional things within the parks, it'd be good to establish that now as we work through the master planning process. So I just want to let you know that, and then I'm really open for questions now.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. And I hope that new title came with some more money.
Yeah. Now, when you work for a nonprofit, that doesn't happen, Butch.
Rats. Okay, so do we have any comments for Frank? And the way we normally handle this is if Karen, if you would call the roll again, and if you have comments, so when your name is called, say so, or if not, just say that. So
Yes, sir,
you can call the roll, please.
Mr. Daly.
Yes, just so as our first trial run of Low Country Celebration Park, you said a lot of people prefer that location over Shelter Cove. Will that kind of represent a shift in some of the Island Rec bigger events to Low Country Celebration Park instead of Shelter Cove? What kind of, you know, the success of it, what have you felt and thought about it? Is there some kind of reconsideration of which park you use for bigger events?
Yes, sir. We've already anticipated moving Wingfest down there and doing that. And Wingfest and the Oyster Festival are really our two major events. We'll probably, we're looking at doing a Friday night event for Jeep Island next year down there. We did that this year, but we anticipate expanding that a little bit more. We anticipate probably keeping Snow Day just because of operational things, and having, you know, the snow's a little bit different, and having that open space at the at Shelter Cove makes that event run a little bit better. And then probably we'll continue to do our youth events out there, like the Halloween, and we're definitely doing the Winter Wonderfest out there. So the really major events are coming down to Low Country Celebration. And as you know, also that the Wine Food Fest was down there, and then they anticipate coming in the spring. And so we have a couple of other groups outside of ours looking at that park to host their major events.
And that's kind of what we had hoped it would do. You know, the role it would play is be that central, you know, kind of park for big events. But, you know, currently there's a lot of conversation going around about charging for parking in the Cligney area, and looking at some of the numbers that were proposed. If someone's there for, Oyster Fest, it could be another $20, $25 to pay for parking. Now, those big events like that and are intentional for you to raise money to fund all the stuff that Island Rec does. If someone has to pay $25 to park to go to Oyster Fest or some other fest, do you think that would hurt your fundraising if they have to just more outlay out of pocket?
I really can't speak to what the parking, I'm guilty. I have not followed up on any of the parking plan. So, I mean, obviously people pay a significant amount of money to go to concerts and events, to park and stuff like that. That's all I can speak to. I have no, I'm guilty. I've not looked at the parking plan and what the impact that would have on the beach parking area, which we used this weekend and which we would have planned to use for the March thing. So I really can't speak to that with any clarity.
Yeah, it's all kind of just under consideration. And it's just something we need to consider is we don't want to hurt your fundraising by charging for parking that's currently free. It's just something we need to be aware of. What impact will they have on you? They have less out of pocket money when they get down there. Are they just going to park in the neighborhood and walk over to the festival? What is exactly going to happen? So it's just something we need to be aware of.
Thank you. I will start looking at the parking proposal a little bit more. I'm more interested in to be honest with you, I've been focusing a little bit what was going on at Chaplin because of the soccer program versus down there at Low Country Celebration.
Yes. Okay, that's all.
Mr. Dowling?
No comments except congrats, Frank, on the new title.
Thank you.
Mr. Okarma?
Yeah, I just have one question, Frank. This after ski, you talked about the after school program.
Yes,
and I'm just wondering, is that focused on fun things or is it focused on education or is it a combination of the two?
it's a combo of the two. We do have the kids tackle some type of homework after a snack when they come in. And then the second part of the day is that they're doing some type of recreational activity, taking advantage of the nice playground that we have out here, but also utilizing the gym for, some type of athletic and run around program. So it's a great mix. The staff does a good job in planning out the afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Zarilla?
No comments from me other than great job, Frank. We appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Mr. Minnesotis?
Just one, hey Frank, who's going to be heading up the basketball program now that Jesse's?
So I'm actually, it'll be a combo if you're asking me today, it'll be a combo of people that are currently on staff. And then when we're looking at resumes, we're looking for people with a background. I would have to say, and I know I kind of complained a little about finding people, but when we put that job out there, we have over 25 candidates that we've been that applied for the job, and we have begun narrowing it down.
Good. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Kasaya?
Well, Frank, as always, great job. Congratulations again on your new title. I think it sits well. The only thing I would ask is, I understand the town has a new facilities person, and as we look at these events, we need to, and I'm sure you are, we just need to make sure that we're working with him to make sure that we don't love our parks to death. So, because turf is an issue down here, and we might talk about that in a little bit. So, but congratulations, Frank.
Yes, in fact, Aaron and I see Aaron's on the meeting here, at least what I see on my board. We've been working together. We've met several times. We probably share emails every other day talking about not only the event parks, but also talking about the athletic fields and how we can continue to improve the maintenance out there and the usage. So I'm looking forward to working with Aaron, and we've had several great conversations about how to improve activities and usages. So
Okay, thank you, Frank.
thank you.
All right, well, let's move on then to our next report, the Capital Improvement Program, the CIP, and Taylor, take it away.
Hello, good morning. Taylor Ladd, project planner for the town of Hilton Head Island, for the record. And on behalf of the Parks and Rec Commission staff, I just want to say welcome to Mr. Manasotis. We're excited to have you joining us. So this morning, I'm kind of changing tactics a little bit, and I'm going to take some time to introduce you guys to our capital improvements program platforms that we've recently launched to provide some transparency in our progress and opportunity for the community to communicate with us and participate more in the process. So pardon for anyone who was watching the town council meeting where Jennifer Ray gave an update about this to town council, but just for the benefit of the commission, in case you missed that, and anyone else, I want to make sure you guys are aware of all these kind of awesome things we've put together regarding the CIP, which of course involves all of our new park work and park improvements and maintenance. So that's a big part of it. So that's why I'm kind of taking some time with you guys to go over this. So first, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And we are looking at here, out on our town properties and or on future project sites, you'll start to see temporary signs like these two, something like this that say future community park, future pathways improvements. These will be at locations just to start to build awareness of what the town is doing. So if you drive by and you see one of these signs out, you'll know, hey, the town's doing something, curious about it, you know, and it's kind of can start a conversation or begin to build awareness. Also, this photo over here on the right, this is a picture of a new kiosk that we put up at the Mid-Island track, the Chaplain Community Park and Crossings. We are doing with these for some of our kind of bigger high profile things. We're going to be posting information in these kiosks specific to the process, the planning process, the construction process, and public engagement opportunities in these kiosks. So folks visiting these spaces can have awareness about what's going on and have opportunities to know, kind of stay informed if you're out there and you kind of want to know what's going on. As these projects progress and we start construction, then these kiosks will be moved to another location. So the idea is for these to be installed just on a recurring basis where they're needed. And all of these items, if you kind of can squint and see on here, we have QR codes where folks can kind of snap that with the camera on their phone and they can find out more information. So with that being said, when you do kind of snap on this little QR code, I am going to switch over to another screen. You will get to our town website, CIP page. So there's two ways to get here. The first way is to go to business and development. Wait, is that right? Nope, sorry, government. I'm still learning our new website. It's awesome. Go to infrastructure services and you can click on a CIP button there, or on our homepage, you can scroll down to major initiatives and get to capital improvements program. And voila, you have our awesome page here. So we've recently launched some exciting informative platforms for engagement. So on our main page here, you get a snapshot of our projects, the public investment and tally of how many public meetings have been held related to CIP. Scroll down and you have some fun options here. The first one is our CIP dashboard, which is really the heart of our engagement platform. This is super cool, you guys. So our GIS team here at the town has been working pretty hard with CIP staff to put this together. But specific to you guys, you can filter from a different category like project types, project phases, fiscal years. You can also search for things by project manager. So if you want to find, the projects that yours truly is working on, you can click on my name and find all my projects. But for now, we'll just take a look at the park projects. So you can see I clicked on that and boom, here are all of our park projects we currently have. Let's take a look at, you click on Mid-Island and here you get down to this map. This map is also interactive, so you can scroll around. I don't want to make anyone motion sick on this, but you can scroll around and pan and find projects on the island if you just want to hone in on your neighborhood and see what's going on nearby. But when you find a project over here on the right column, we've got kind of a little description, we've got kind of snapshot information, what phase we're in, who the project manager is in case you want to know who to reach out to on staff. And then we have documents that you can download. For each of our CIP projects, we have these really handy information sheets that just give kind of a holistic overview of what's going on with the project. We also have, we'll have our kind of status update information. So our recorder will be publishing these reports for each of our projects. And then we're still working on this for some of them, but getting a little project schedule out there. So of course, a lot of this is subject to change, but it's just, you know, a good way for folks, if you really have a strong interest in a project in your neighborhood or anywhere on the island, you have really quick and direct access and live update information about it. So staff will be maintaining all of the information about these projects so that this dashboard will reflect what's actually going on. So it's pretty exciting. We also have an FAQ about our CIP. And then these two things are pretty unique and new. On this one here, comment on CIP projects. This is for current projects. This will take you to a form that you can fill out. And if you have a comment or a question, you can submit it right here and it'll come straight to the CIP staff to answer. And then if you're visiting a park or if you're kind of just around town and you have an idea that is related to our capital improvements program that you want to submit, a project idea or something like that, you can use this form and that'll come straight to the CIP staff. And of course, any ideas we get will become rolled into our discussions related to planning the CIP for each fiscal year. So it's just a way to keep you guys and keep our community engaged. As you scroll down, we have kind of these specific pages for each of our CIP categories. As you can see, all of our projects, all 40 something of them are organized into different categories. So if you care about parks, you can click here and you can get a quick look at what is going on this year, our kind of total projects, our budget. This is already a little out of date. I've got to update this one. And then of course, another opportunity to find our dashboard and then a blog, kind of a running blog that'll be updated more or less monthly to let folks know what's happening. All right, so, and of course, I'd be remiss without saying a big thank you to our web administrator, Renee Phillips and Matthew Carey from our GIS division for their lots of their help getting this pulled together, of course. So I hope that you guys are excited about this and I hope that our community members will be able to start to use this and really enrich their experience in working with the town and us working with them to make our community awesome and world class. So next, let's see here. I have, you guys should know about this. This is our newsletter. One just came out this morning, hot off the press. I am excited to announce that we will be transitioning this newsletter that has been going out to almost 1,600 people monthly. We'll be transitioning it to a CIP newsletter. So we will continue to highlight park projects, of course, but we thought it would be useful to use this platform to broaden our scope so that we can include more information because, of course, we have a lot of projects and things and stuff happening at Town Hall related to our capital investments that are interrelated. So we wanted to be able to incorporate that because I've, kind of felt with this newsletter a little hemmed in that it has to be just about parks and that there's other aspects of this that can be enriching to the community. So starting in January, this will become a CIP newsletter. Of course, we'll still be doing spotlights, introducing staff and just keeping the community informed about this. And of course, having the meeting calendar, our archive on here about CIP related things. And of course, announcements about any public engagements, events, open park days that we're having related to our projects. So that is all I have regarding my capital improvements program update. I am happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Taylor. That's exciting. That's, tell you what, that's all right. So Karen, if you'll go down the list again, and if anyone has questions for Taylor, we'll do it the same way. Thank you.
Mr. Daly?
Yeah, the website looks amazingly helpful. I'm impressed with that. So I'll save some other questions for other things for later for you, but that looks great.
Thank you.
Mr. Dowling?
I'll say the same thing, that the website looks great. It's good information, able to access it easily. You did a great job. No other comments.
Mr. O'Karma?
Yeah, 2 or 3 quick comments, Taylor. First of all, you covered the signs. I think that's a great idea. If people just don't know what's going on and all of a sudden something's happening and what's that all about? This is wonderful to be able to see, you know, what's going to be coming down the pipe. So what a great idea. The website is awesome. There's no question about that. The only thing that comes to my mind, this is not a negative, it's just I'm thinking about back in my career where we had wonderful websites updating projects we were working on and the like. It's only as good as people keeping it up to date. And so is it the project managers who are keeping theirs up to date, or do you have a bunch of people that input this stuff? How are you going to keep this up to date?
Yours truly is on a regular schedule to reach out to our project managers to get updates and to input the information. So that is part of my role as the project planner in the capital programs division at the town.
Okay, good. All right. That's all I've got. Great.
Awesome.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Zarilla?
Yes, I think it's totally amazing what you've done, and I think it's a real service to the public. I got 2 questions, or a question and a comment. How are you getting the word out to the public about this sort of thing, other than the kiosks or something like that? Because I know I've had a number of people ask me things like, well, what's going on at the Mid-Island Park? You know, things that I just can't possibly have that kind of detail in my head. So it needs to get a broad kind of some advertising or something behind it to get people to go there, because I think it would be just fabulous. I think you'll get a lot of comments and a lot of feedback in there. And but if nobody knows about it, that's going to be a real problem.
Well, luckily we have a really good communications department that we're working with here at the town, who ensures that we have multiple touch points out in the community to ensure that as many folks as possible are informed about things we're doing. So social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, those kind of things. And of course, through press releases, even ads in the Island Packet or the Hilton Head Sun. We try to kind of get the word out in different ranges and forums to kind of diversify it and get access to as many people as possible.
Do you have a marketing plan and a budget behind that, or how does that work?
Well, that is part of the town manager's strategic action plan for this year. Is the communications director is working specifically on a Parks and Rec marketing plan, kind of internally. And the Parks and Rec stuff I've been doing in the past, I kind of have my own plan, but since this is kind of getting broader and bigger than what I can handle, we're bringing the communications department in to kind of give it a little bit, get it going a little more, and to broaden it. So we're excited to be, I will be excited to work with Ms. Grant on that.
Okay. The other comment or question I have is the name, the Capital Improvements Project or something like that, having a newsletter about that. It's kind of a technical term or a business term, Capital Improvements Project,
Right.
Have you thought about giving it something a little more, like progress, improvement progress, or some report or something like that, to give it a, so it doesn't sound technical, and I think you'll get more people looking at it.
Well, yes, that is true, and that's capital improvements program seems pretty corporate to say, but we've I don't know if you noticed that we've made a logo and kind of trying to brand it so that it has like a kind of a colorful appeal and recognition. And of course, with our newsletter, we'll be working on having a tagline that makes it definitely more approachable And I hadn't thought that seriously about it, so I certainly appreciate your suggestion there, Mr. Zerla. So
Okay.
I'll make note of it. Thank you.
Nice job, really.
Mr. Matasotis?
I don't have any comments at this time. Thank you.
And Mr. Kasaya?
Yeah, Taylor, just to echo everyone else, great job. I think the website is going to be great. As far as the CIP program, I'm not sure of exactly the calendar in which the next year's CIP goes through the discussion process and what we might be looking at for future projects. But one of the roles of the commission is to act as an advocate for parks. And so if maybe in December, if you could bring us up to date on kind of like what that calendar looks like and what might be on the horizons, and if we need to perform any advocacy for specific projects for parks, that would be good information for us to have. So that's all the comments that I have.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, staff is actually looking at starting to start discussions with you guys in December and carrying over into your December, January meetings, the CIP for fiscal year 23, and talking about those projects and reviewing what we're working on and what's carrying over and anything new. So thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jerry.
Yes, sir.
Just what you just said kind of gave an idea here. Should this, I haven't looked at the website yet, obviously, so I can't talk to the details, but it probably would be really helpful to be able to click on some button and actually see visually what the process is, by, I'm going to make this up, by December 31st, all projects are whatever, by such and such a date, they're considered. By such and such a date, it goes to Parks and Rec or whatever. Then it goes to town, so people could actually follow along rather than hearing someone say, "Oh, sorry, you missed the boat for this year." Is that possible?
It might be. Some of our projects are pretty fluid, so it would be a lot of extra updating, but I do certainly think it might be possible to put together a generic timeline so that folks can kind of understand the process and kind of where the Parks and Rec Commission falls in it and working with town officials and staff. But for each specific project, we are working on having those project schedules available through our dashboard, like I showed you guys, and with the regular updates on the dashboard. So hopefully that will help folks know. But of course, as always, I ask folks to kind of subscribe for our newsletter, because that is where you're going to get the most immediate information, as well as subscribing for the town's press releases and things like that. And if you have Facebook, kind of like the town on Facebook, so you can be aware of what's happening. Certainly.
Yeah, Taylor, I'm only talking about the generic process.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I'm talking about where someone could see, 2 weeks from now is when the so-and-so is going to consider whatever. Because I'll tell you, when we all joined the commission, one after another here, how many times did we have a situation, Butch, you've been around, where we'd come up with a suggestion or someone would come and give us an idea, and well, that was 2 weeks ago. Well, that was,
right.
We missed that boat. We missed a lot of boats, and it would probably be, this is going to be an unbelievable resource. And I just think if there's some way that you could click on something and just see the generic timeline that we go through each year.
Yeah. Okay. See what we can, I'll put my head together with folks who are smarter than me about these kind of digital media and access things, and we'll see what we can come up with. Definitely appreciate that. Thank you.
I would guess that your finance guy probably has a calendar for the next 20 years somewhere ready. So it shouldn't be too hard to say, well, okay, by this date, we got to have these projects. So, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks, Taylor.
Sure.
That's great. All right, let's go with our next order of business here, and we don't have any unfinished business. And so the proposed Parks and Recreation Commission 2022 meeting schedule. And Taylor, I believe that's still you. Yes.
Yes, sir. Just a few words before we get into this. I'd like to note that staff has met with your chairman to review the calendar for next year. And we're working with Mr. Keziah on a work plan for you. So you can round out your year and have holistic opportunities that will enrich your work on the commission. So instead of canceling meetings for lack of agenda items, we really want to make sure that you guys are able to meet regularly and expect to have those meetings, and that we will have them. So with that being said, we do anticipate that you'll be meeting monthly next year. And for that, we have built in a summer recess so that you guys can get a little break and enjoy your summer. We know summer gets busy for a lot of, especially a lot of our commissioners. And that's something that Mr. Keziah wanted to build into the calendar for next year. So I just wanted to explain why you guys have a summer recess. That is because we anticipate that the other 10 months out of the year, you guys will be busy. After you make a motion regarding the calendar, as part of your discussion, I would appreciate some feedback on what you would like to have included in your work plan. So far, we have items such as discussing the budget, of course, CIP projects, the project list, maintenance items, trainings about ethics and FOIA, a review of our Parks and Rec master plan, which is a big part of your role. Of course, review of your role and mission and your rules of procedure for the commission. And of course, your continued participation in reviewing final concept plans for the new parks. So after you make your motion, please elaborate with any discussion if you have thoughts on other things you would like to do that would be enriching to your role in this commission. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Taylor. The proposed calendar schedule for 2022 was included in your packet. And this time the chair will entertain a motion that we accept the calendar as presented for 2022. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Yep. Okay. I didn't quite hear that, but somebody said a motion.
Jack did.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So now for discussion, what I'd like to do again is ask Karen to go down the roll. And if you have any comments about the calendar or have any suggestions of other topics that we might want to make sure are included, if you would do that at this time, or any other discussion about the calendar.
Yes, sir. Mr. Daly.
Looks good to me. I appreciate the summer recess.
Okay, Mr. Dowling.
It's good for me. It's already in my calendar.
Mr. O'Karma.
It's fine with me. And in terms of topics, I hadn't really thought about it, but when you were going down your list, that's probably what I would have, those are the first things that would have occurred to me. So I think we've got pretty good coverage there. Thank you.
Mr. Zarilla.
Yes, it works for me. I got one comment is, you know, you have this website where you're going to be getting comments and things like that. I think if somebody would go through, we can make, there may be some highlights that came up during the month or something like that that we could discuss that somebody has suggested in there, you know, a review of those things. And the other thing is when do you think we will be meeting in person, if at all, next year? Will these all Zoom?
My understanding, based on discussion from the town council meeting this week, is that the mayor is anticipating in-person meetings resuming in January. Of course, it could change, but that is the word on the street at this point in time. And of course, staff will do our best. As soon as we know, you will know. So, but at this point in time, I feel comfortable saying that we're anticipating coming back in January.
Yes, because because you know, I try to plan some travel and things around these dates. So
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Manasotis.
The calendar looks great. Thank you.
Mr. Keziah.
Yeah, of course, I think the calendar is good. I appreciate the summer recess. And on a side note, maybe the council ought to look at having that kind of recess in the summer. Never hurts. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We've had discussion. So at this point, Karen, if you will call the roll again, and we'll vote to accept the motion.
Yes, sir. Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Dowling,
Accept.
Mr. Okarma,
Yes.
Mr. Zarilla,
Yes,
Mr. Manasotis,
Yes.
and Mr. Kasaya.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So our next item would be park updates. Do we have any park updates?
Yes, sir. For those of you who did not watch the town council meeting this week, I just want to bring your attention to a presentation given by our town engineer and interim infrastructure services department head, Jeff Buckaloo, gave about our beach parks and beach maintenance program. And he actually spent a good while speaking specifically about Islanders Beach Park and kind of future considerations for items related to policy, capital improvements, programming, and maintenance for that park specifically. So definitely, I cannot follow his footsteps in covering everything he talked about, but I encourage you to check out that meeting recording if you want to know more. It sounds like anticipated this fiscal year, we may be able to begin work on doing some planning for improvements at that park. And then possibly construction next fiscal year, pardon me, as I look at my notes. But definitely this fiscal year, and hopefully before the end of this year, we will begin construction of the Overlook Pavilion, that as you're walking out to the beach, it will be on your left. There's kind of that big cleared area that if you've been here a while, you know, when we do beach renourishment, they use as a lay down area. We're going to use a portion of that kind of cleared area to put a nice Overlook Pavilion that will be specifically for ADA access to view the ocean in some shade and enjoy the breeze. And if you recall, that came specifically out of a recommendation in the Parks and Rec master plan and our plan for Islanders. So we're excited that that will begin construction, hopefully be a quick project. We'll start before the end of this new year. So lots kind of discussing in general about our beach parks, which is really exciting with our beach park manager. Sorry, I can't remember his exact title, but Mr. Mark Robson. And he has a team of folks working specifically with the beach parks and our beach on the island. Also with the 3 big park projects, currently we are anticipating the initial concepts, not final, but the initial ones being available to the public starting in the new year. So definitely we are working closely with town council to find a good time to review those park initial plans. There's a lot happening and they've got a lot of other things on their docket. So we're kind of, working towards the new year. And of course, that's working pretty well with our consultants timeline as well on that park planning. So we're looking forward to that in the new year and working around holidays. It's just this time of year, it's kind of hard to squeeze a bunch of things in. So we're looking for that. We're looking forward to it actually. So that's what I have for the parks at this time.
Okay. All right, thanks, Taylor. And so at this time, we're going to have.
Can I ask one quick question? This is
Sure.
Jerry. Very, very, very quick, just to be. So this presentation that I'm going to be looking for, it was from in the November town council meeting. I just want to make sure I go to the right place.
Yes, sir. November, what's today? The 16th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys are really interested in it, I'm happy to send you a direct link and that it's fast forward to that point in time in the meeting, so you don't have to scroll through an hour and a half to find it. I'm happy to send you guys a link to that video if you want to watch Jeff's presentation.
Please do. Please do.
Absolutely.
Great.
That'd be fabulous. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, I guess
That's all I've got,
Let's go.
Chairman.
that's okay. You're doing great. Everybody's
Great.
This is a good meeting. I like this.
Yeah.
So I guess do we have any other comments or questions for Taylor? And I hate this because we're doing this online, but Karen will get you to call the roll one more time to
Yes, sir.
ask.
Certainly. Mr. Daly,
Are we on item 11 still? Questions for Taylor or
Park
item
up,
12?
yes, for park
Yes, sir.
updates for
Okay, all right.
Taylor.
I'm good for 11. I have a comment for 12.
Okay.
Okay,
Mr. Dowling,
No comments.
Mr. Akarma,
Nothing.
Mr. Zarilla,
No comments.
Mr. Manasotis,
No comment.
and Mr. Kasaya.
no comments. Thank you, Taylor.
Well, good. I did
all
my
right,
job
so-
then. Thanks, guys.
You're doing good. Yeah. Hey, see, if no comments means you're doing great. So, all right.
Awesome.
Park Commission comments are next on the agenda. And so Karen, one more time, if you'll
Yes,
go down
sir.
the list.
Mr. Daly,
Yes, I have one comment that relates to parks. And, we hadn't had a master plan for Parks and Rec since 1995. And we hadn't really looked at our inventory of parks and what we have and what we offer since then. And the master plan, the consultants highlighted a lot of deficiencies, just deferred, development of parks. And they were specific, a couple of baseball fields, this many soccer fields, so forth. And just basic good governance says that council, staff, and Parks and Rec works to address those, right? We don't not do it, right? Because it's been 25 years. So it was a little bit worrisome at the workshops at Chaplin and at Mid-Island to see a lot of the people that were there, the citizens were, and there's also a sentiment on town council within some of those wards to not have these deficiencies addressed on those parcels. Well, you could do it up here. I really don't want to do it at all. And good governance says we do it. And if those are the parks we have to look at, then we have to use those parks. And I'm not willing to consider Barker Field an option till it's in our town inventory, and it is not. So we were told at the beginning of this process not to consider it, so I won't until I hear differently. So that worries me. And then now you factor in the fact we had a recent meeting about beach parking, and you highlighted with the Oyster Fest down there, the parking issues that are there. And there's a lot of push to that came from Circle to Circle to move some of the beach traffic, some of the day trippers up to Chaplin to capture and just move some there and kind of unload the Cligney area. And in this process, if that's what we're going to do, then Chaplin must have beach appeal for those day trippers. It must have the things they came to look for: a splash pad, restrooms, beach volleyball, those items. And that would also require, as you push down pop up, that would require some sports fields to be built at the Mid-Island track, and to make sure they're not closed like the soccer park was at Crossings. It was closed for 3 years because it's national turf. A lot of those fields will have to be artificial turf, and you get a lot more play out of it. And so the resistance among certain councilmen in their wards to this idea of having things appear in their neighborhood, we're just going to have to overcome that. It's a system-wide build, and you can't simply charge for parking in Cligney and expect that not to have a reverberation in some other park or some neighborhood. And perhaps by having Chaplin become more of a beach park, you would prevent the negative effects of charging for parking in Cligney that charging would have on Forest Beach and the various shopping centers around there. So I want us definitely to focus, on the micro sense on the deficiencies we have that we haven't addressed for 25 years. But we also need to be aware of the macro view of this, of how our parks as a system affect each other. And we're going to have to overcome some resistance to, the NIMBY sensation that, I don't want this in my yard, or I'm not going to play soccer, so why would I care? So hopefully this next year is a big year. Hopefully the consultants come back with some good ideas that everyone can rally around. And but this is a chance to make a very good fix on a number of issues. This master plan, it can affect parking, it can affect everything we do, conservation and sports. So I hope we get it right, and we should not leave, empty-handed from this process. We have to address those deficiencies and look at the big picture. That's all I got. Thanks.
Mr. Dowling,
No additional comments.
thank you. Mr. Akarma,
Nothing from me.
Thank you. Mr. Zarilla?
No comments.
Thank you. Mr. Manasotis?
No comment.
Thank you. And Mr. Kasaya?
Yes, just a couple of things. I'll touch on what Jack was saying. Out in the community, I'm hearing a number of different things about the meetings that happen for especially the Mid-Island track. And I'm taking the position that the consultants that we have are professional, and at the end of the day, we're going to have a proposal that looks at all the needs that we identified in the master plan and in the hour plan through the task team, and that for the Mid-Island track in particular, that it is a balanced approach into how that property ought to be used. And we'll wait and see what happens when the consultants come back with whatever it is they are proposing. But I kind of agree with Jackie. I don't think that having that property totally as a passive park is going to meet the needs that were identified in that master plan. And so I'm making these comments in the hopes that the consultants take that to heart as they look at how they are proposing what needs to happen. The part of that is, for years now, we have advocated for a pickleball complex. And we have had pickleball folks come to almost every meeting we've ever had in the 5 years I've been on the commission, and they're still waiting to see what the town's going to do. And we need to have some idea of where that type of a facility would go. So I just want everybody to have an open mind, everybody to not have any preconceived ideas, but to have an idea that we did a lot of work putting together the master plan. We did a lot of work putting together from the master plan, the hour plan recommendations. And we need to make sure that those recommendations get a real good review, and we see how we can, as Jack said, identify and correct some of those deficiencies that were identified in those plans. The next comment that I would have is Jack alluded to Barker Field. I would recommend that the town continue to talk with the county about getting Barker Field, and that when or if that actually happens, I personally feel like Barker would be the place to have a number of synthetic turf fields, which would take the pressure off of a lot of these other parks. But until we know that's going to happen, it's very difficult for, I think, all of us to figure out how are we going to meet the deficiencies that we have identified using our existing parks. So I think we have, I can't remember, but I think at one point we went on record recommending to council that we work with the county to get Barker as we did with the other parks. So I don't know if we need to do that again. If we do, we can find out and come back in our December meeting to advocate for that. But to me, that's a real necessary piece in fulfilling what I think our role and responsibility is to the total community. And other than that, I did get a text from Council Member Lennox about the CIP and the schedule. It is part of the budget, the regular budget process. So I think as we're looking at what we might be interested in advocating for in next year's CIP, we need to pay close attention to the actual budget process. I know the ideas that are going to be coming forward will probably come to various committees probably before the end of this year, and the actual work is done during the budget process itself, which begins in the spring. So we got a lot of work that we need to do. We're gonna be extremely busy this next year, and I think that you know, not that it's the finish line, but at least we have a finish line that we're going to. And so for that, I thank all of you for your hard work.
Hey, Butch, I have one comment.
Yes.
It's not just advocating turning Barker Field or the Barker Field extension over to the town, but it's the funding that goes along with it, getting our fair share of their $4 million county budget for recreation. I mean, considering our 25% population base, things like that. So I think they have to go hand in hand. I don't think we need one without the other. As a matter of fact, we need both. So I just want to make
Michael, I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, it's one thing to say, gosh, yeah, give us some more property. It's another thing to say, give us some more property and also give us the funding that we need to maintain it at the level that we want to see those parks maintained. So you're absolutely right. So
well,
okay.
A couple years ago, Butch, I think people will remember a couple years ago, the town did go with a letter with a proposal, and it did have hand in hand. I mean, it did at least address. Obviously, it didn't solve the issue, but I think that's a great point, and I think no one is going to lose sight of that for sure.
Good. Yeah. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Michael. All right. Well, I believe that we're at the end of our agenda. Are there any other comments? We'll go down the list one more time, Karen, and see if anybody's got anything else they want to say.
Yes, sir. Mr. Daly?
No additional comments.
Thank you. Mr. Dowling?
No additional comments.
Thank you. Mr. Okarma?
Nothing for me.
Thank you. Mr. Zarilla?
No additional comments. Thank you.
Mr. Manasotis?
No additional comments. Just want to say the more I get involved, the more I will comment. So you wait.
You. Mr.
Thanks.
Cassano?
No additional comments. And Mike, we're looking forward to it. All right. So with that, then the November, sorry, I can't really see very well. November 18th, 2021 meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Great job, Taylor.